Am I good now? Is it on now? It's green. Okay. Sorry about that. And in Idaho, so as far as all of these social media platforms, you can imagine we receive cyber tips from all of them. This is actually outdated. So Snapchat was for a long time, the biggest reporter in Idaho. We were receiving the most cyber tips from Snapchat. And honestly, in the last month, this has actually changed to TikTok and Instagram are kind of battling it out. But that's crazy because Snapchat has, like, for over a year been our biggest reporter. So as far as those numbers of cyber tips and where we're getting them from, in terms of arrests and how we're turning this over. So for this year in 2025, you can see the entire task force. So this could be a case that started with us with that cyber tip that we triaged and then sent out to a different agency and our internal unit who's doing these cases full time. We're going to have 141 arrests. Yes, those are real pictures of real mugshots, which is awesome in our office. And yes, so 141 is the projected number of arrests for 2025 in terms of this. And internally, we will produce 75 of those, most likely projected. I think we're sitting at around 68 right now. So again, sure you guys have seen a lot of our headlines, and we're really aggressive in these cases. And we also have the privilege of being able to prosecute these in our office as well. And that's new within the last couple of years. So, and then just in terms of other tools and things that we're doing to make this task force more effective is obviously 2 years ago, over a year ago, we passed House Bill 465, which made generative AI, CSAM, now a felony. So previously it was not recognized as a felony. And it was federally, but it wasn't here in the state. And we're actually one of the first states to pass this. So this is really important just to recognize that we live in a place that cares and values these cases and the importance of prosecuting them and giving our investigators and prosecutors the right tools to get proper sentences and arrests with this. And then also a big new tool that we're using is Lauren Lane is one of our investigators, and we have K9 Badger. So Badger is an electronic storage detection canine. So he goes on the search warrants and finds hidden devices in the homes. And it's super effective, these dogs. So there's 3 in the whole state of Idaho. This is the only one in the Treasure Valley. And we've had him since March, and he's been on over 30 search warrants. So it's a great tool. And I think he's found maybe over 13 devices that would have been hidden from us otherwise. So they're really an amazing tool. And just talking about how much we're pouring into the importance of these cases because the risks are huge, right? So talking about some of these things, these are the important things that we need to be aware of in order to help kids keep themselves safe. So again, inappropriate content, online privacy, online enticement, sexting, sextortion, and cyberbullying. Some of these are kind of dependent on age. And, like when I go to schools, I talk about these at different levels. And as parents, you should kind of be following that same pattern. You don't need to be worried about the biggest issues all the time. Like that's super overwhelming. So, but it's important that these topics are coming from us, right? And not from peers and not from themselves or from online, but that we have the biggest say. And, sometimes you might not be the kid's preferred trusted adult, but you might be to someone else, right? You might be a teacher, you might be important. And it's just important that we're talking about this. And it's important that we're talking about it young. So I'll go to a lot of events and I have a lot of people will say, oh, well, I'm not worried about it. My kids are too young. And I'll just, I'll kind of be like, oh yeah, like no worries. But sometimes I'll kind of try to just really see that there's more there, because when you can, again, number one, build a strong foundation, when you can talk about these issues before they come up, it just really gives you a leeway, in terms of they're going to be more trusting and more willing to come to you when something does happen. And it's developing that trust. And obviously there's a lot of reasons why it's important to start them young. So even if you don't feel like this is a big issue yet, it's important to maybe understand and start thinking about how you're going to go about talking about it. And then if your kids are already phone age, it's important to have the tools as well, right? So talking about this is kind of what I was saying about different ages, you're going to have different issues. So with younger kids, we call it netiquette. That's how you're interacting with others online, teaching good digital citizenship. And then obviously coming across inappropriate content, right? You're handing a small child a phone, and if you don't have parental controls, they're going to see the same stuff you would see on your phone. So I mean, we all can think about that. So teaching them what can happen when that pops up. I actually just spoke to like a first through fourth grade little Girl Scout group, and this was a really big one because they're not on phones yet, but they're on Chromebooks. They're on other people's phones usually, and so that's a big one of like what do you do when that pops up, like pop-ups or things like that. And then again, pop-ups, and then not trusting people you meet online is a big one. And then for older kids, it's going to be more on cyberbullying. What do you do if you are being cyberbullied? What do you do if you maybe find out that your kid is cyberbullying someone else? And then sexting is the big one. I mean, it's happening. It's happening. So, and then posting personal and appropriate information and then meeting offline. So those are the big ones. And then again, just kind of understanding the age and not overwhelming yourself with needing to know everything about everything all the time. So then NetSmarts is through NCMEC, that National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They have a ton of resources. And so I include this because I just want to let parents like know that they're not alone in trying to come up with how to talk and engage about these. There's already stuff done. So NCMEC on their website has, I think they're on YouTube too. I actually get ads for them on my TV. YouTube shows on like digital safety. It's like a little cartoon. So I'm going to show like a little clip of it just so you guys can see, but just so that you're knowing that like there's tools out there to kind of talk about these things and show your kids. And yeah, it's all. Anyway, I won't make you watch the whole thing, but just again, that's a really good tool to just kind of talk about some of these awkward things and show it in a way that's a little bit more packageable, depending on age. And again, they have a ton of different websites or episodes and stuff and shows and games and stuff. So, and I'll give all the kind of information how to get on that website at the end. But again, I want to go back to like kind of more talking and diving deep into these issues. So inappropriate content, obviously, these are things that are going to pop up on phones that are not monitored. This is not an if, it's a when. It will happen. And I think talking about like, obviously pornography is a big one. It's on every single platform. It is not just, they don't have to go to a porn website to look at porn. It's on Twitter, it's on Instagram, it's on all of these major platforms, TikTok. And I think that it's really big to just say that for what it is, like that's just how it is. And I think that we know as adults, like we know that because it comes across on our phones. So just understanding that that is there on monitored phones and teaching kids how to come across it if it pops up and how to talk about it or maybe let them know that they can come talk to you about it. Again, violence, that's another really big one. The example that I really like to use for this is like Charlie Kirk's shooting. Like that showed up on every person's phone, whether you wanted to see that or not. Now imagine you're a 13-year-old and you have a phone and you saw that. Like it's a total, like that's what we're dealing with. And that's what we're just trying to prepare young minds for and hopefully monitor phones before it gets there. And then obviously hate speech or cyberbullying between classmates and other things and just risky or illegal things, TikTok trends and dangerous, those types of things. We know that those have been a problem. They're going to keep being a problem, whack-a-mole. So just kind of going into like what to do with this now. So how to be like this trusted adult. It sounds like silly and you guys are parents, like you know how to do this, but it's just with this area, kids really, really are, and they feel like they're the expert. You're not. You're not the technology expert in the house. They are. But I think you're still the adult. So giving you like the tools to be able to listen and kind of understand their world, because this is where kids live. It's everything to them. It's their friendships, it's their relationships, it's their hobbies, and just being like willing to listen and let them teach you, like let them show you what games they like to play, really builds that trust and helps you feel more into that world with them. And then when a problem arises, they'll probably feel more comfortable. Any questions so far? Sorry. Good. Okay, moving. And then again, this is just kind of the same things. Like what you can do is just listen and remind them that it's not their fault. If they run across these things, it's not their fault. This is the world we live in. And I think that that's a big one because there can be a lot of a shame element or embarrassment if something like that were to happen. So just kind of reminding them that this is the world we live in. And again, and then helping them report it. So giving you the tools to know where to go. So then they have the tools to know where to go to report something that is a crime. And then, yes, so what they should do is obviously telling them, like, if you see something you don't like, you don't have to do anything. You can give me your phone, you can use the back button, you can tell someone, and you can always report it to the cyber tip line, which we'll talk about more. Again, that's when there's that suspected child exploitation element. So then obviously privacy settings are a really big one. You guys would be very surprised that kids do not use any of these on their own. Like location services, most kids are using on Snapchat as Snap Maps at all times. This means someone knows people can see where they are at all times. I think we can all recognize why that's dangerous. A kid sometimes always doesn't. So teaching them how to do privacy settings, their accounts should be private in my mind, even though they can have one at 13, just because this is how a lot of those bots, and we'll talk further about kind of these dangers, they're just gonna, if they see a profile that's open, it just kind of lets in that floodgate to have potential exploitation. And then blocking people accounts that they are potentially spamming or trying to entice or do other things, and then reporting it, obviously. So then again, we already kind of talked about all these. And then privacy, I think this is a big one. Again, going back to those location services and just getting that account locked down. I mean, if I was in a classroom of, I'd say 5th grade through high schoolers, and I asked how many of you have your account on private, it would be probably more than half that don't have their account on private and public. Because why? We live in an influencer culture where people get paid to have followers. And it's a money drive now, it's a career drive now. And so why would they put their account on private when that limits the amount of followers they can get? And that's a big one that I always say, but safety should come first and privacy should always come first. Again, streaming videos are big, like TikTok lives, like kids do that a lot now, like with friends, like they'll go on live and anyone can join that. That's public. And so you don't know who's waiting to join those types of things. And yeah, and then just the location is really the big one that I'm trying to bring awareness to right now, just making sure location services on all apps are turned off, even on photos. So now with Meta, your phone photos, if you take a photo, it'll show you all the location services and data if you send that photo to someone else. So let's say your child takes a photo, it's nothing bad with someone that they're friends with online that they maybe don't know, and they don't lock down those location services and photos, that person now has access to everywhere that they are, even if the photo is nothing that gives that away because of the data services. And so that's just a big one. And then obviously like sending pictures is a big one. And that goes into that element of privacy that kids should feel that they're entitled to privacy. They don't owe strangers online anything. Personal information, this is one that I really drive with like younger kids, obviously, because they're still learning like that stuff. Like they kind of feel like, this person's far away. So why does it matter if they know where I go to school? Why does it matter what they know? But it matters because of things that this can allow. I think the big one is really like scams and enticement. We'll talk about sextortion being one of those online scams. Even like identity theft or stalking, all of those things are risks that come with not having good online privacy. So then what we can do is, just establish rules that you feel comfortable with, and you can have that conversation about how much you feel comfortable with your kids sharing online, and you can set the standard for that, and then helping them set privacy settings. And again, they're probably going to be the experts. They're going to know how. So you may be doing research as well on how you can find those privacy settings and then help them is a really good one. And then obviously, I think creating a safety plan for online is probably good, just in the atmosphere that we live in, kind of based off these issues that we're talking about. Just like, what would you do if, what would you do if, what would you do if? Yeah, that's a good one. So then online enticement. So this involves an individual. Obviously, it's basically catfishing. So when someone is pretending to be another child or pretending to be someone that they're not, a friend, someone that wants a relationship with someone with the intent of meeting up with that child eventually. So we see these as often, very often, usually in undercover chat operations. So we here in Idaho do those. We've done 3 this last year all across the state, and we've made an arrest on every single one. So this is a real issue. These are adults that are intending to meet up with 13, 14, 15-year-old kids for nefarious purposes. So a lot of these do occur from social media platforms. Again, like I just said, your kid has an open, no privacy settings, that person can see a lot of information about them. And that can open them up to conversation. Like that person will feel comfortable trying to start conversation with them because they know their interests, they know where they go to school, they know all these things. So just again, this is where it goes back to privacy settings. But yes, it mostly, I will say, online enticement is going to be that more so that 13 to 17 age range. But I will say we had a case that went to trial this last year, and victim was in Idaho Falls, suspect was in Idaho Falls, victim was a 10-year-old girl in Massachusetts. And her Snapchat profile literally said, I'm blank, I'm 10 years old. That adult man did not care. He still followed her, enticed her. She did the right thing. She was very brave, went to the police station, and they eventually flew her out, and she testified at trial 2 years later. So again, it's I would say, prevalent with that bigger age range or older teens, but it can happen to a lot of ages. And that's, again, going to be from those social medias platforms mostly. So, and this goes into grooming. I think a lot of us know like what that means. Like, oh wait, sorry, this one. And this is important to know the right language for this behavior and what is going on here, because this is what it is. It's oh my gosh, why is it not doing that right? Oh, there we go. So it's when they're trying to groom, they're trying to basically make kids feel more comfortable with their behavior, because we can understand why. So a lot of times it will be gradually introducing them to explicit content. That is the biggest one that I think we see in cyber tips. So again, going back to cyber tips, we don't just receive images from those platforms. We also receive chat. So even if there's no images, but there's chat between like an adult and a child, and the social media platform picks up on that, they send that to us. So, and a big one that we see is them trying to gradually get them comfortable with adult behavior. And they will, and gifts is a really big one. And this isn't like, I think what you think in your mind about gifts, like they're not like buying them a bicycle. It is buying them, most likely, it is buying them money on video games. So Roblox, Fortnite, whatever, they're using that. They're smart. They know what the kids want. They know how to get them to continue being their friend or whatever they want from them. So again, a big one. Look, if your kid suddenly has a Fortnite battle pass and you didn't pay for it, you don't know who paid for it, that would be a huge red flag in my mind. Again, so they'll really try to be friends with them. They will discuss adult subjects, who you're dating, who do you like, have you ever done this, have you, and then again, make them feel very, very, very ashamed to tell anyone else. That's the really big one. Like, you're like, well, why wouldn't they just tell you immediately? these people that are adults are manipulating a child to not tell anyone for specific reasons. And so again, this can just run really, really deep and can go on for a long, long time until it's discovered usually. Or until the child recognizes and has the right tools to stop it. So again, these are more signs other than the gifts thing that I was talking about. Obviously, if your kid's like trying to hide the screen, doesn't want you to see what they're doing, getting upset, usually because there's that manipulation aspect of if I don't respond to this person, they're going to get, I mean, almost everyone's been in a toxic relationship where like that person's not mad at you for not replying when you want. That's exactly what they do to keep these kids continuing to talk to them. And then rejecting friends and family, not wanting to be around their normal people for those same reasons, and then calling numbers that you wouldn't recognize. So what can we do? Obviously, talking to your kids about who they're talking to online. Even let's say like they're at an age where you're super comfortable with them, like meeting people online and talking to people, video games and stuff like that. Maybe asking them like, oh, do you know, like, who's that person, blah, blah, blah. For younger teens, I would say probably monitoring every single person that they talk to online just until you're comfortable. And then, but again, setting a policy that is not meeting anyone offline that you don't know ever is probably going to be the safest standard always. And then, yeah, again, knowing your kids' online friends, asking if they know their online friends. And then again, I would teach them those kind of warning signs in a way that you feel comfortable, just because it's a real thing and it really is happening. So, and then obviously, if this does happen, calling the police and then reporting it to Cyber Tip Line is a really big one, because like I said, you don't just need images for it to become a cyber tip. We can do stuff with that chat and still figure out who it is and what to do. So, and then understand, yeah, so when you teach kids that they can report it, because that's anonymous, they don't have to put any of their information down. They just need to say where the platform happened, upload screenshots, and NCMEC will get the information to the right people. So this is a really, really big thing, is reporting it to that Cyber Tip Line. Again, this is where we get the majority of our cases. So if you are like, kids, I think it's really big for kids to know that they can do this. And that they can stop talking to whoever that they want to talk to. I really always tell kids, like, you do not have to talk to anyone that you don't want to talk to, or that it's making you uncomfortable ever, obviously. So again, this is the reporting. So and all of these are good definitions. So anyone who's sending a child images or videos that would be adult content, report it. Anyone who's asking your child to send images, report it. Anyone that's speaking to them in a sexual manner, report it. And anyone who's asking meet up. All of those are within the wheelhouse of inappropriate, should be reported to NCMEC immediately. So then let's go into sexting. So this is a really big one. That's, I'd say, again, with that older teen crowd, but probably moving younger and younger. So this is sending images between like two peers. Or honestly, it could be in that adult situation if it's gotten to there. So this says 19% have. I think that's severely low. I wish I had an SRO in here who could tell me that that's like, that has to be double, just because this is what kids are saying that they're doing. Not all of them are reporting that they're self-doing it. And then 34 more are receiving it. So that's the big thing, is once these photos are sent, they usually circle. They're not private, basically. And so again, like, I think we want to understand why, just because if you didn't grow up in an era of phones and technology, it can be a little bit just confusing. Like, and so I think talking to kids about like why, but also understanding, again, going back to that this is their world, this is their life, is online. And that's just how it is. But again, these are how their relationships are. They have relationships with people through the phone. And again, about experimenting, it's like, it's normal teen behavior, but now it's just switched to online, which can just open the door for danger. So this is a video that I like to use. Pretty lighthearted. It just talks about like sending photos and kind of the dangers there. So I'll let it play. So again, it's kids always laugh at that one, and I do show it because it's lighthearted, but it does really explain like you no longer have a choice once you've put that out there. So always being mindful of kind of that digital footprint, like talk, like you can talk about like you can, I like to frame it that way too, of just talking about something that you put out there is out there. You no longer have control of it, and that's a good one too when we talk about cyberbullying again, like just once you say something or once you do something, that's out there. So again, the consequences of this can be really, really, really distressing if once those photos get out. I mean, I remember being in high school and that happened, and it was awful. Parents are involved, school discipline people are involved. It's horrible and it's really embarrassing. And so I think kind of not it's hard though because again, you want to be sensitive that this is their life and that this is their world, but still addressing the genuine dangers of this. And so again, like addressing it is starting these conversations, kind of getting that mindset before it even gets to that point of talking about privacy, talking about the kind of the things that we've talked about, starting bottom line and building that foundation up of online behavior. And I think giving like yeah, giving an example is a really good one, kind of like that video of like, okay, well now she can't decide where it goes because it's out there. And then discussing healthy relationships. Obviously, we as adults know that if you're a teen girl and a teen boy's asking out of you, not probably that's a red flag. So discussing those healthy relationships is a really big one because that can also go into kind of back again to that online enticement of how should someone be talking to you? How should someone be treating you? How do you want to be treated? And that's a big one here too with sexting. Um, and then and then resharing is another really big one. Maybe your kid didn't send one, but maybe someone else sent it to them. And now they get to decide if they're going to perpetuate that other person's embarrassment or do something about it as well. So again, reporting it to Cyber Tip Line, we receive all of these because if Snapchat or Instagram suspects the child, we're gonna we're gonna receive it because it could be potential exploitation. So that's another big one is if they feel like, oh, well, it's on Snapchat, it'll disappear. It doesn't. People see it and they're being monitored because they're kids. That's a big one too. I like that. And then again, sextortion. So this is kind of combines that online enticement with the sending, with the sexting, and meets in the middle with like blackmail and extortion. So this is where kids are being threatened or blackmailed after sending photos of themselves. Usually they're friended by a person who then it looks like their age, is talks to them, becomes friends with them, and then immediately requests money. So this it sounds fake. I swear. There has been over in the last 6 months in Idaho, over 65 reports of this. So this is a very big problem. This really is happening. It's happening here in Idaho too. And the problem with this is, so it's mostly, did I say this? It's mostly teen boys that are the target here. So it'll be a female, usually in college or close to their age, who befriends them, talks to them about their interests, talks to them, whatever, and then will immediately request money. So I'm going to show one more video just to give an example of this. I think that's it. So again, this is really scary, and they happen. It happens really fast, and unfortunately, in the country has resulted in a lot of suicides just due to the sensitivity of the content. So, kind of what they'll do again, like I said, they'll befriend them, talk to them, and then request a photo. But why these threats seem so real, especially to these kids, is they will screenshot the entire friends list of these kids before they start messaging them, so that when they start to blackmail them, they have their friends list and be like, okay, I've put all of your friends and followers in a group chat now, and here's your photo that has your face in it, and it's now going to go out to all of them. And so the threats are very real. People always ask me, do they actually send it out? They will. They don't always, but they will, and they have. And then again, it's usually like they're wanting those gift cards, those things. But yeah, it's a really scary, really, really terrible thing. And it's hard for us because these are usually crime rings that are in other countries. So it's hard for us to really feel like we can get a solution for these victims. But again, just reporting it to the cyber tip line, the FBI, other people at a larger scale are working on these issues. And not giving it to the man's never sending them money because it's very hard to recover, reporting it to the app, and then not deleting your account. I know that normally is what they would want to do, but that person already has access to it now, and then that can just further, it can be harder to shut down the account once you no longer have access to it if they've hacked into it. So again, I have this poster and I have a ton of resources on this if anyone's ever wanting any or you need some, because again, this is kind of a new thing that's happening and we're probably going to continue to see an upward growth trend of for a while. I'll skip that one. So then I want to talk about cyberbullying a little bit. This is something we're all super aware of, but obviously it's just bullying that has now moved online. And then examples of this can be, this changes. This is going to change all the time. So right now the trend with cyberbullying is going to be that AI creating fake things and then spreading those. That's a big one right now. Posting videos, fight videos, posting videos that someone didn't ask to be taken. Posting, a lot of times it'll be like school anonymous accounts, like kind of like, you know, you guys kind of understand what I'm saying there. And then sending threatening or harassing texts. Stalking can also be cyberbullying. And then posting or resharing pictures again that may have been sent that weren't meant for you. So the difference between this that we know is that this follows kids home. They never have an escape from it because that aspect of their digital life is online. Everything about their life is now online. So that's going to go home with them. And it does spread very fast. And there's a wider audience. The good news, though, that I always want to like remind people is how fast things end online, right? Trends are super fast. So it can end quicker. It'll spread faster, but it can end quicker, which should be like hopeful in a small way. But this can obviously cause like very, very, very severe consequences. We obviously know this has a very high suicide rate of kids that have been cyberbullied. Just that feeling of honestly depression and that really big hopelessness, just because it's constantly with them all the time. They can never escape it. Running away is a big one, anxiety, and low self-esteem. So a victim might not want to go online anymore. They might act nervous when that text, that chime, their notifications go off, seem uneasy about going to school, and withdraw from friends and family. Obviously, just because, like I said, it can be super, super, super distressing and just that feeling of never being able to escape from it. So when talking to kids about this, like with cyberbullying, there's 4 people in this scenario. There's the cyberbully, there's the victim, there's the bystanders, the people that see it, and there's the upstander, hopefully a colleague or a peer that steps up and might choose to befriend that person anyway and do something better about it. So what you can do is honestly like problem solve with your child together, because if you just come in and take it over, they can just add to the embarrassment. So honestly, asking them what would be helpful for them in a scenario like that. And I would really, really, really strongly talk about saving the evidence, because if you go to police, you go to your SRO, you go to the school, it can be really hard to be like, oh, this is a huge thing, and we don't have the evidence of it. And then obviously setting up new accounts, talking to school. and then reporting it, obviously, as well. So this can be behavior of a child that is potentially cyberbullying. So you wanting to be online all the time, not really wanting to engage in real life, avoiding discussions about what they're doing online, using multiple accounts. I'd say just like overall sneaky behavior online would be a red flag anyway, but could potentially be this. And then obviously how to prevent it is teaching kind of when we talk about with little kids, good digital citizenship, applying that foundation that we've hopefully built or that we need to install like to younger and later teens. And then expectations for how to treat people online and offline. And then again, kind of that goes back to what I said about encouraging kids to not take part in that cycle and being either the cyberbully or the bystander, but treating themselves like how they would want to be treated if they were the victim, or treating someone else how they would want to be treated if they were the victim. And then talking about monitoring software. So there is a lot out there that's available for kind of talking about all of these issues that we've talked about. So now I've kind of unloaded a lot of scary problems, but what can we do? And I'd say, like, honestly, individual apps all, like I said, have privacy settings, have security features. And then they're on a bigger scale. I mean, even your Wi-Fi or your home internet has monitoring if you want that. I know several here in Idaho that do. And then I would research options if you're looking for something like more lockdown on a full device. There's a lot out there. So again, just with all these issues, again, like being that trusted adult, kind of we talked about, learning from them, their online world, and engaging in that and wanting to understand that. And then obviously I talked about NetSmart, so that's going to be where you can find some of those videos and games and stuff that just can make it like less daunting to kind of talk about online safety with your kids. And then if potentially you run into a scenario where maybe there's some exploitation and that can be really scary, NCMEC also has resources for that. And these are some others, but that's all I have for you guys. Questions? We good? That's it? Okay. Yeah. I know. Yeah. So, yeah, it's usually 15 to 17 is the biggest age range. So a 15-year-old might potentially have a job. They will empty savings, empty college accounts. They will do whatever for that money, usually. So, mhm, mhm.
This is Deputy Brashears. I just want to give you guys some heads up on some of the local stuff that we've seen with these cases. This isn't just NCMEC stuff. We've had a lot of the grooming stuff. It started with send me pictures of your feet. They'll get pictures. They'll get money for that. They'll turn into send me pictures of your butt. Everyone has a butt. And after they get the money for those photos, then it turns into, okay, now I want more explicit photos. So we've seen a lot of that stuff happen. In terms of, it's similar to grooming and sextortion with that. And then the other one has been it's boys that will have photos, and they have been sent out to friends, and they've had to explain the photos a few times. So that's been the main one. Sam, do you know of any other ones that we've had lately? I can't think of any others that have been really bad. Yeah. Sorry, do you got any other? Yeah, we have had people that have attempted to meet up. There is a few of us, me being one of them, that's done the chat classes. I've gone through the classes with ICAC. So occasionally I'll do the UC chat stuff and we work through that. We have had locals that have tried to meet up. We've made arrests on those. It's been a little bit since we've done that, but we're still in that world and in that realm. It's not something that just because we're in Sleepy Little Star, it doesn't happen here. They will actually seek people out here. We've had people that have met up in the construction sites in Star that were from Nampa or Caldwell because they knew that we were having construction up here and it's an easy spot to go hide. So we've had those kind of cases and they're everywhere. And we have so many of these cyber tips come in. I mean, she can tell you right now that they're inundated. And where you guys backlogged? Do you know where you're at for your cyber tips right now? Oh, you guys aren't right now?
Go
That's
back.
awesome. Yeah,
We
because
review all cyber tips under 24 hours.
that's awesome. Because for a while there, we were
Yes.
backlogged and trying to catch up. So these guys are working constantly, and then they have people from every other agency that are working with them too.
Um, yeah. So he just asked me if there's like one overarching tip that I could give. And I think it really would be that combination of understanding that they're a digital world, that they're the experts of technology, but they're a kid, and letting them be a kid. And you get to decide in your household the rules and how you want to implement their online world. So holding those two together would be my best advice. Always. Vault apps. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Vault apps. I actually have guides on Vault apps if that I can give out to you guys. So yes, it's great. Mm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We're receiving a lot of cyber tips from Roblox lately. So I'm kind of cautioning parents just because it's a newer trend. So as Roblox is continuing to learn how to report those, I would use extreme caution on Roblox. So I actually have a big interest in this because they're on them all the time. And I used to work for a high school, and I worked at Middleton High School as a one-on-one as a behavioral therapist. And I didn't have Chromebooks in high school, so I was seeing like how much they're using these and age range of how they're using them. And I unfortunately ran into a situation with a student who was using it for what he shouldn't. And so I really got savvy at understanding how easy it is for these kids that are tech wizards, experts, to do whatever they want on these Chromebooks. So I'm kind of trying to still research that because I don't really always know the best route on how schools can lock them down more than what they're already doing. Schools should have monitoring software in place for the Chromebooks, and I believe all of them do. But when they're bringing them home on different Wi-Fi, I don't know if that's always the case. So, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yes.
What is a resource that parents need to go to if they want anything, if they want resources, where should they go?
I would follow our social medias. I'm constantly posting stuff, and then you're able to just see what we're up to, and you can get everything like from our website as terms of arrests that we're making. I post also just resources very frequently on different various topics and our website as well.
Awesome. And then I know Derek jumped on and talked to everybody really quick. You got Alan Takuchi at the school. He's our SRO. So if you need anything, you can reach out to him. And then Derek is our like professional here in Star. So if you have anything, you can reach out to him as well. And he can help out parents that are live streaming or anybody else that watches us down the road. So anything else?
I think that's it for me.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming.
Yes.
And that'll conclude the meeting for anybody online.